Family is completely destroyed. Being the oldest daughter, like, I remember everything.
I'm not blaming my mom, but at some point she's accountable.
No one talks about the cheater dad family dynamic, so let's talk about it. So in my dad's particular case, he had 3 daughters. I'm the oldest of 3. And for as long as I could remember, my dad's always been cheating on my mom. It was just like a known thing in my household that my dad acted like my mom got herself pregnant and that she ruined the best years of his life. And consequently, so did I. But they kept having more kids, accidentally, I guess. My dad was always like super resentful of having us. And he always just felt like he should be out there and single. But he resentfully stayed and just did what he thought he had to do, which created the weirdest family dynamic. In our case, he had 3 daughters that were just always felt rejected by him. And so we're pretty like hard, bad, I would say, because we grew up with a dad who told us to man up whenever we cried.
Bianca is sharing the story of her father's serial cheating. She says her parents' actions tore their family apart.
Don't even get me started on my mom. You would think that she's the victim in this situation, but the thing is that my dad wouldn't be able to keep cheating on her if she did not perpetuate the cycle and take him back every time. So as children, you're just stuck in this toxic relationship between the dad who cheats and the mom who forgives him, and the mom that cries on your shoulder every single time your dad does it, knowing well she's gonna go back to him. But it's like one of the main reasons why I have no contact with my entire family, because my dad just completely brought this family down and really gave us no opportunity to survive really as a family. Being the oldest daughter, like, I remember everything. My family is completely destroyed in the sense of I don't talk to my family, and then I don't really know all of their relationships. But what I do know is that every family gathering, everyone's screaming at each other.
She says the actions of her mother often go overlooked.
So I knew I had daddy issues growing up because my dad was just like a serial cheater, and he would like just my mom and all these crazy things. Like, I knew I obviously had daddy issues, but what no one talks about is the mommy issues from the mom who won't leave that kind of dad, because they are a team. Do not get it twisted. I got played by my mom and my dad so many times. If there's one thing about my mom, is that she's loyal to my dad. So no matter what my dad does, no matter what my dad did, no matter what, she had his back. She had his back. And you know who always got left out in the cold? Is the oldest daughter who always had my mom's back. That's who always got left out in the cold.
I love my mom, and I fought for my mom for so many years. So when people say that like I'm victim blaming, that hurts me, because I feel like no one ever wants to acknowledge the kids as being also victims. I'm not blaming my mom, but at some point she's accountable. She's the adult in the situation. I'm the kid. So as much empathy and love that I have for my mom, I can't keep making her the center point of the narrative. At some point, I had to acknowledge my own pain.
People actually claimed she was victim blaming her mum.
Thank you for saying this, because there seems to be a lot of discourse on that video that's starting to kick up about women who stay in relationships when they have kids, and how it's like not their fault, or like if they do leave, then their kids just blame them for leaving. And I understand like it's a very nuanced, sensitive conversation. I come at this from a very, I don't know, just like empathetic space. Like, don't think I don't have empathy for the moms that stay. I mean, I grew up, like I said, with a dad who cheats on my mom all the time, and then like she stayed because she thought it was like the right thing to do. I then left that household and unfortunately married someone equally, if not more, than my dad, because he, you know, essentially tricked me. Like, we dated for 3 years. He never showed signs of, and then flipped a switch the second we got married. So in a lot of ways, it was very different than my dad, but nonetheless, still really traumatic. I stayed married to that person for 5 years.
She gained new perspectives on the situation since growing up.
Now that, you know, I can see from the perspective of my mom, in the sense of like, okay, if you have kids and you think you're doing the right thing, you stay. But I also have the perspective of being the person being stuck in that cycle. And I still think the right thing for her to have done back then would to have been to leave. And I get it, because my dad was like the moneymaker and she didn't have the finances to do so, and she felt like alone, so it was survival. But I guess where I'm coming from now is that like I'm 33 and like they're still doing that. It hasn't changed Like, even as an adult, like, there's nothing my mom's protecting at this point. Like, this is what they do, and they turn their relationship on me at points, and it's just like, I guess if like they were young and then they changed, I could like look past that, but like that's not what's happening. Like, they're well into their adulthood now. They're not 17 anymore.
No one ever saw the things that were happening behind closed doors.
Something I'm still working on with my trauma is the fact that my family always presented really well. We were like a very well-to-do, well-off Christian family that was always dressed to the nines, and like, you know, we just looked like a cute little family. My mom, my dad, me, and my 2 younger sisters. And I think something that's really challenging for me in recounting a lot of these stories from childhood is that they feel like a separate person than the person that was presented to the world. I felt like a beauty pageant queen all the time, just always dressing up and playing a character, but then the person at home was a different person. The one experiencing the trauma was a different person. And I always identified with the beauty queen, not the person who was experiencing domestic violence in the home and a dad who was a cheater and all these different things. In the past, I didn't always associate with that person. I always associated with the like, oh, well, she's well dressed, she's so kind, she's so empathetic, like, oh, look at her go. Like, and I think that's like some of the trauma I'm still working through. And I think that's also why I try to like lean in to like being more like natural on camera and just being myself more, and not immediately going into like beauty queen Bianca, because I like know how to do that. That's like so easy to me.
We are so glad that Bianca is speaking out about this type of family dynamic. In the comments, people were sharing their experiences, with one person saying, "No, because my dad always said, you'll understand when you get older." Guess who got older and still finds his behaviour foul? Me. While another said, "I am also no contact with my family and also came from cheater dad family, except my dad would cheat and gaslight all of us and even turned us against my mum." As always, thank you for watching Happiest. If you liked this video, then please be sure to follow our other social pages for more like this. And of course, if you have any of your own videos that you'd like to share with us, be sure to send them in.